bifurcates at the level of thyroid lamina to the external carotid artery and the internal carotid artery. This external carotid artery is responsible to supply the head and neck region and face region, and the internal carotid artery, it goes inside the cranial cavity via the carotid canal, and it gives different branches to form the circle of Willis. And here we can see the vertebral artery arising from the subclavian artery passes through the foramina transversarium of cervical vertebra, and it enters into the cranial cavity via the foramen magnum, and again it gives different branches to form the circle of Willis. So these two are very important vessels to form the circle of Willis. So here we can see the vertebral artery arising from the subclavian artery on each side. They united together in front of the pons, ventral surface of the pons, to form the basilar artery. The basilar artery, it gives different branches. Among them, posterior cerebral artery is the important branch to form the one of the component of the circle of Willis. And this is the internal carotid artery, which gives the middle cerebral artery and the anterior cerebral artery, and they form a circle of Willis in the interpeduncular fossa. So this is the interpeduncular fossa. So here we can see the norma basalis. One of the important component is the carotid canal here. From the carotid canal, the internal carotid artery, it enters into the cranial cavity, and it divides into middle cerebral and the anterior cerebral artery. They are the important component of the circle of Willis. So this is the carotid canal, and this is the foramen magnum. So the two pairs of the vessels, the vertebral and the internal carotid artery, which are interconnected in the cranial cavity to produce the arterial circle of Willis, circulus arteriosus. Two vertebral arteries, they enter into the cranial cavity via the foramen magnum, and the two internal carotid arteries, they enters into the cranial cavity through the carotid canal on each side. So we have seen in the photographs. So move on to the individual vessels. So talking about the vertebral artery, can you see the slide?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Sorry for the interruption because of the light, okay, in the department. Can you see the slide now? Can you see? Are you listening?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So vertebral artery is the artery that arises from the subclavian artery, and it goes above via the foramina transversarium of 2 to 6 cervical vertebra, and it enters into the cranial cavity via the foramen magnum, and it joins to the opposite vertebral artery to give rise to the basilar artery, and again the basilar artery, it gives the different branches. So each vertebral artery that arises from the first part of the subclavian artery in the lower part of the neck. It passes superiorly through the transverse foramina or the foramina transversarium of upper 6 cervical vertebra. Don't be confused. They do not pass from the 7th cervical vertebra. Okay, so upper 6 cervical vertebra in the transverse foramina transversarium, they goes upward. On entering the cranial cavity through the foramen magnum, each vertebral artery gives a small meningeal branch, and just inferior to the pons, they fuse to form the basilar artery. So this is the vertebral artery of right and the left side. They united together in front of the pons to give rise to the basilar artery, and these are the branches from the basilar artery. So they are the important branches from the vertebral artery. They are the intercranial branches. So posterior spinal artery, posterior inferior cerebellar artery, anterior spinal artery, medullary branches, and the meningeal branches. So anterior and posterior spinal artery, posterior inferior cerebellar artery, medullary branch, and the meningeal branch are the branches from the vertebral artery on each side. Do you have any queries, anybody? Can you see the slide? Sumnima, are you there? Sumnima, are you there?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you see the slide?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have any queries?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So here we can see the vertebral artery of each side. So important branches from the vertebral artery are the posterior inferior cerebellar artery, anterior and posterior spinal artery, meningeal branches, and the medullary branches are there. So they are the branches from each vertebral artery, and they united in front of the pons to give the basilar artery. Basilar artery is present in the basilar groove in front of the anterior surface of the pons. And other important branches from the basilar artery are anterior inferior cerebellar artery (AICA), labyrinthine artery to supply to the internal ear, pontine branches to the pons, superior cerebellar artery to the cerebellum, posterior cerebral artery, one of the important component of the circle of Willis, cerebral artery, okay, and posteromedial central branch, posterior choroidal artery, and cortical branch. They are arising from the posterior cerebral artery. Talking about the internal carotid artery. So internal carotid artery is one of the branch from the common carotid artery. So common carotid artery, it bifurcates into internal carotid artery and the external carotid artery at the level of thyroid lamina. And this internal carotid artery, it enters into the cranial cavity through the carotid canal in the norma abyssalis. And inside the cranial cavity, it divides into anterior cerebral artery and the middle cerebral artery. So anterior cerebral artery and the middle cerebral artery from the carotid canal, carotid artery, internal carotid artery, and the posterior cerebral artery from the basilar artery, they united to form the circle of Willis. Of the common carotid artery proceeds superiorly to the base of the skull where they enter into the carotid canal, courses through the cavernous sinus, and it pierces the dural roof of the sinus. It ends immediately lateral to the optic chiasma, decussation of the optic nerve, and inferior to the anterior perforated substance, and it divides into middle and the anterior cerebral artery. So the terminal branch of the internal carotid artery are the middle cerebral artery and the anterior cerebral artery. So this is the middle cerebral artery and these two are the anterior cerebral artery. They are the branches from the internal carotid artery. So do you have any queries till now? Bimala, are you there?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you see the slide properly?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Do you have any queries till now?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So if you have any queries, please ask, okay? So move on to the branches of the internal carotid artery. So other branches of the internal carotid artery are the anterior cerebral artery, middle cerebral artery, posterior communicating artery, anterior choroidal artery, and the ophthalmic artery. The anterior cerebral artery, again, it divides into deep branch and the cortical branch. As the name suggests, cortical means towards the cerebral cortex. So it gives branches to the orbital area, frontal area, and the parietal area, and the deep branches to the internal capsule and the basal nuclei towards the midline of the brain. And again, the middle cerebral artery, it gives cortical branches and the deep branches. So cortical branches to the orbital, frontal, parietal, and the temporal region, and the deep branch to the perforating branches to the middle structure, midline structures. And these all branches, they are responsible to supply the brain. So like this, anterior communicating artery uniting the anterior cerebral artery. So this is the internal carotid artery which gives the middle cerebral and the anterior cerebral artery. So anterior cerebral artery, they united together by the anterior communicating artery. And again, it gives the anterior choroidal artery. They are the ophthalmic branch. So they are the branches from the internal carotid artery. So the circle of Willis or circulus arteriosus, they are the synonyms. It looks like this. So these two vertebral arteries from each side, they united together in front of the pons to give the basilar artery, and basilar artery gives different branches. So anterior inferior cerebellar artery, pontine branch, labyrinthine branch, superior cerebellar artery, and most important for the circular Willis, that is the posterior cerebral artery. So they are the branches from basilar artery. So this is the internal carotid artery, divides into middle cerebral and the anterior cerebral artery, and again anterior cerebral, they united together with the anterior communicating artery. So this is the diagrammatic representation of circulus arteriosus or circle of Willis. It is formed at the base of the brain by interconnecting basilar and the internal carotid system of the vessels. So the anterior communicating artery, it connects the left and the right anterior cerebral arteries to each other, and posterior communicating artery on each side, they connect the middle and the posterior cerebral arteries of the same side. Don't be confused. Anterior communicating artery, it connects the left and the right anterior cerebral artery, but the posterior communicating artery, it connects the middle and the posterior cerebral artery of the same side. The diagrammatic representation of circulus arteriosus, vertebral artery, they come from each subclavian artery and they united in front of the pons, that is the basilar artery, and it gives different branches. Among them, posterior cerebral artery is very important component of the circulus arteriosus. The internal carotid artery, it gives the middle cerebral artery and the anterior cerebral artery, and the posterior communicating artery, it connects the middle cerebral with the posterior cerebral of the same side. So that is the circulus arteriosus or circle of Willis, which is formed at the interpeduncular fossa and gives different branches to supply the collateral circulation to the brain. So that is the diagrammatic representation. So at last I'll give you time to draw this, okay? So what is the function of circulus arteriosus? So the function of circulus arteriosus is to equalize the blood flow to the different parts of the brain. It provides the collateral circulation in the event of obstruction to one of its component. So one of its component means any component is blocked because of the atherosclerosis. First of all, it provides the collateral circulation. Okay. So example, obstruction of one internal carotid artery in the neck of the right or the left side, the collateral channels may be established with the reverse flow through the external carotid circulation in the face, scalp, and the ophthalmic artery. So initially, the patient won't show the lack of blood supply or the ischemia in the particular part of the brain because of its characteristic features, that is the collateral circulation by the circle of Willis. So that is very important aspect of the circulus arteriosus. So branches are cortical or external branches. They run on the surface of cerebrum, cerebral cortex, anastomose freely. And if there is any blockage, small infract means small area of the cerebrum will be lacking of the arterial supply and small infarction can be seen. And if the central branches perforate the white matter, means in the center of the brain, they supply the thalamus, corpus striatum, and the internal capsule. They do not anastomose freely. So if there is any blockage, in the central branches, the large infraction can be seen, and the patient will immediately show the symptoms related to the infarction. So central branches of circle of Willis, they are arranged in 6 groups. They are anteromedial group, anterolateral group, posteromedial group, and the posterolateral group. So the anteromedial means they are the largest branch. Medial striate, or the recurrent artery of humor, that supplies the corpus striatum and the internal capsule, has motor fibers for the face, tongue, and the shoulder. So anterolateral means they are arranged in 2 groups. Lateral means on 2 sides, right side and the left side. The largest branch is the lenticulus lesion related to these arteries. They show the symptoms related to the particular nerve. And posterolateral or thalamo-geniculate, 2 in groups because they are lateral, supply the thalamus and the geniculate body, and posteromedial means supply the thalamus and the hypothalamus. So each groups are arranged in the midline, anteromedial and the posteromedial, on the lateral aspect, right and the left side, anterolateral and the posterolateral, and symptoms seen according to the pathology and according to the area supplied by the particular nerve, particular vessels and the involved nerve. Okay. So other vessels is the middle meningeal artery, branch of external carotid artery. So external carotid artery, it gives different branches to the face and the neck region. So among them, the middle meningeal artery is one, ascends through the foramen spinosum and supply the meninges, may be torn in skull fracture or head injury cases, road traffic accident cases, resulting in the formation of extradural hematoma. Extradural means outside the dura mater. This hematoma can compress and symptoms can be seen. So the ligation of the common carotid artery, intracranial aneurysm in any branches of the internal carotid artery. Aneurysm means the dilatation of the vessels. Okay. So extradural hemorrhage due to the fracture at the pterion. It tears the middle meningeal artery branches of the maxillary artery. So here we can see the lateral internal carotid arteriogram. So this is the internal carotid artery and its branches. Okay. We can see normal architecture of the carotid arteriogram, which helps to identify the atherosclerosis or any lesion related to the particular artery. So here we can see the internal carotid artery in the cavernous sinus, and these are the branches which can be visualized in the arteriogram to identify the involved pathology, for example atherosclerosis or any lesion which can compress the vessels leading to the infarction or hemorrhage. That's all about the arteries of the brain, or the arterial supply of the brain. Do you have any queries till now? Ritu Parna, are you there? Ritu Parna? Gitanjali, are you there?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have any queries?
No, ma'am.
Okay. You have to draw and practice the figure, and you have to label it. Okay, it is important for theory as well as practical and MCQs. So move on to the venous drainage. So the venous drainage of the brain is by the cerebral veins. They crosses the subarachnoid space and they drain into the dural venous sinuses. So dural venous sinus, they are present between the endosteal and the meningeal layer of the cranial dura mater. As we discussed before, the cranial dura mater, it has the endosteal layer and the meningeal layer. Between these two layers, the dural venous sinuses are there. In the dural venous sinuses, the subarachnoid space are there where the drainage of the cerebral veins occur and they go to the systemic vein. So these veins In the cranial cavity, there are absence of pulp. They receives the venous blood from the brain, meninges, bones of the skull by the diploic veins and the cerebrospinal fluid, and drain into the internal jugular vein. The cerebral veins are grouped into two groups. So they are the superficial group and the deeper group. Superficial veins drains the cortex and subcortical white matter. Cortex means the outer structure, and subcortical white matter. And the deeper veins drains the substance of the brain, including basal ganglia and the diencephalon. Okay, so thalamus, hypothalamus region. So superficial veins, they are superior cerebral veins, superficial middle cerebral veins, and the inferior cerebral veins. And the deeper veins are a pair of internal cerebral veins, a pair of basal veins, unpaired great cerebral veins of Galen. That is the internal cerebral veins, they united together to form the great cerebral veins of Galen. It is important for MCQs, great cerebral veins of Galen. Okay, that is formed by the internal cerebral veins. So move on to the arterial supply of the different area of the brain. So anterior cerebral artery is the chief artery on the medial surface of the brain. So this is the medial surface of the brain, which is supplied by the anterior cerebral artery in general. Middle cerebral artery is the artery of the superior lateral surface of the brain, except the few centimeters of the cortex. And the posterior cerebral artery is the principal artery on the inferior surface. So in general, if we ask about the artery of the medial surface, anterior cerebral vein, artery of the superior lateral surface, middle cerebral artery, and the artery of the inferior surface is the posterior cerebral artery. Area specific of the brain, okay, so specific area of the brain are supplied by the different artery. For example, corpus striatum, internal capsule, they are supplied by the middle and the lateral stride from the circle of Willis, anterior and middle cerebral artery. Thalamus supplied by the posterior communicating artery, basilar artery, posterior cerebral artery. Midbrain is supplied by the posterior cerebral artery, superior cerebellar artery and the basilar artery. Pons supplied by the basilar artery, anterior inferior cerebellar artery, superior cerebellar artery. Medulla oblongata supplied by the vertebral artery, anterior spinal artery, posterior spinal artery, posterior inferior cerebellar artery and the basilar artery. And the cerebellum is supplied by the superior cerebellar artery, anterior inferior cerebellar artery and the posterior inferior cerebellar artery. So they are the arteries specific to the brain. So if there is any pathology or the lesion in the particular artery, these area may get lack of arterial supply or lack of oxygen supply, leading to the infection, and the symptoms related to the area and the nerve involved can be seen or can be explained by the patient. So cerebral angiography. The radiographic demonstration of the blood vascular system of the brain is known as cerebral angiography. The dye can be inserted and the radiograph can be taken to see the cerebral angiography and the involved vessels and the pathology. The importance in diagnosis in cerebral defects, cerebral tumors, localization of the vascular malformations, atherosclerosis, aneurysm, space occupying lesion, like this. Okay, they are helpful for the diagnosis of these diseases. So what is the applied aspect of this? Cerebral hemorrhage. We heard many times about the brain hemorrhage of the particular patient leading to the death or sometimes the paralysis of the particular sites. It may be because of the cerebral hemorrhage of the particular vessels. So Charcot's artery of cerebral hemorrhage branch from the anterolateral group of the circle of Willis is commonest artery leading to the cerebral hemorrhage. So Charcot's artery of cerebral hemorrhage, they are the branches from anterolateral group of the circle of Willis. And in case of stroke, thrombosis in an artery supplying the internal capsules, resulting in the hemiplegia, paralysis of the part of the body, half part of the body is the hemiplegia. So that is the stroke. So this is the lateral internal carotid arteriogram, which helps to diagnose this case. And other clinical pathology are the lateral medullary syndrome, medial medullary syndrome, Weber's disease. Okay, so talking about the lateral medullary syndrome, posterior inferior cerebellar artery is the branches from the vertebral artery. It's if there is any pathology leading to the Wallenberg syndrome. Okay, so lateral medullary syndrome, also known as Wallenberg syndrome, or the posterior inferior cerebellar artery syndrome. So the lateral part of the medulla is supplied by the posterior inferior cerebellar artery, or the PICA. So this area is supplied by the posterior inferior cerebellar artery, lateral part of the medulla oblongata. Thrombosis of this artery produces the different types of the symptoms. So we have to know the structures in relation to the lateral part of the medulla oblongata, where there is lack of the arterial supplies because of the pathology in the posterior inferior cerebellar artery. So here we discussed previously in the section of the medulla oblongata, there are the nuclei. So they are the hypoglossal nuclei, okay, nucleus of tractus solitarius, nucleus of vagal nerve, okay, and nucleus ambiguus related to the 19th and 11th cranial nerve, and some tracts are there, spinal tract of the nucleus are also there. So these area will be affected because of the lack of the arterial supply, because of the pathology in the posterior inferior cerebellar artery. So the patient may complain of dysphagia and dysarthria due to the paralysis of the muscles of soft palate, pharynx and the larynx. It is because of the destruction of the nucleus ambiguus. So the nucleus ambiguus is related with the cranial nerve 19th and 11th. And loss of pain and temperature on the ipsilateral side of the face, nucleus and the spinal tract of the trigeminal nerve will be affected. Contralateral loss of sensation of the pain and temperature, it is because of the involvement of the spinal lemniscus and the spinothalamic tract. Vertigo, nausea and vomiting because of the involvement of the vestibular nerve nuclei. So that is the lateral medullary syndrome, this area. Okay, move on to the medial medullary syndrome. Medial part of the medulla is supplied by the vertebral artery, branches from the vertebral artery, that is the medullary branches. And thrombosis of the medullary branch of the vertebral artery produces the following type of the symptoms. So this area will be affected, and this area here we can see the major is the pyramidal tract will be affected. So the contralateral hemiparesis or hemiplegia, depending on the severity, because of the involvement of the pyramidal tract, because of the lack of arterial supply to the pyramidal tract, the major fiber corticospinal tract will be affected, and contralateral hemiplegia can be seen. So the contralateral impaired sensation of the position and moment and tactile discrimination, it is because of the involvement of the medial lemniscus. Ipsilateral paralysis of the tongue with the deviation to the paralyzed sides when the tongue is protruded because of the involvement of the hypoglossal nerve. So that is the symptoms in relation to the medial medullary syndrome, and the area involved are the pyramid, lemniscus and the hypoglossal nerve nuclei. Okay. Other symptoms are the vascular lesion of the midbrain. So this is the section of the midbrain at the level of superior colliculus, okay, and Weber syndrome produced by the occlusion of the branch of the posterior cerebral artery. So posterior cerebral artery is one of the important branch from the basilar artery that supplies the midbrain and results in the necrosis of the brain tissue in this area, and it may involve the oculomotor nerve. So oculomotor nerve involvement can cause the ipsilateral lower motor neuron paralysis of the eye muscles, because eye muscles are supplied by the majority of the eye muscles are supplied by the oculomotor nerve. Ophthalmoplegia can be seen due to the involvement of the oculomotor nerve. And external strabismus can be seen, eyeball deviated laterally because of the paralysis of the medial rectus and unopposed action of the lateral rectus. Ptosis can be seen because of the drooping of the upper eyelid due to the paralysis of the levator palpebrae superioris. Loss of accommodation and dilated pupil can be seen due to the involvement of the ciliaris muscles and the sphincter pupillae respectively. And the cross cerebri. Involvement of the cross cerebri can cause the contralateral upper motor neuron paralysis due to the interruption of the corticospinal tract. Okay, so they are present in the cross cerebri of the midbrain. That is all about the symptoms in relation to the Weber syndrome. So do you have any queries, anybody? Abdul, are you there? Abdul?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have any queries?
No, ma'am. Take it, sir.
Okay, so move on to the circle of Willis. Okay, you have to draw this. To draw this. So it is the diagrammatic representation of circle of Willis. You can draw this and you can label this. It will be easy for you in the exam. Done? Have you done this? Do you completed the drawings? Anybody? Sakshi? Sakshi, are you there? Have you done this?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So do you have any queries?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So the drawing leveling is important for SAQ and important for MCQ also. And in DROS also we ask the arterial supply of the brain. Okay. And for MBBS, clinical aspect is very important. Medial medullary syndrome, lateral medullary syndrome. Okay. So do you have any queries? Anybody?